Jesus, how has it already been over 2 weeks since the last vlog? Um, well, I guess best explanation that I have is that I was actually kind of busy over the last few weeks with, I guess, primarily flat hunting because otherwise everything has been just the same as before, like work, private stuff, no big changes except that I really have dialed up the flat hunt and even had some first inspections, visitations. I don't know how is the word for it when you, as a potential new tenant, seek out an free apartment to be like, with the real estate agent and be like, oh yeah, I liking this, asking questions, whatnot. So, and I guess I can tell you a little bit how this entire experience went. So I have moved before within Berlin, or to Berlin to be precise, when I originally came here. And the thing to know is that in Berlin, the flat situation is bad, as in really bad, to the point where the lawmakers came in and had to put in a law to forbid price gouging when it came to rent. Because as much of as a fan of capitalism and free market as I am, at the end of the day, I'm also a big fan of a certain level of government oversight, namely at a point like this, where flat owners could like literally do price gouging and ask impossible prices that would like to unappropriately enrich themselves on the backs of the people who simply are desperate and need living space within the city. But yeah, so it's the kind of thing that's just to give an idea how bad the situation got. Because at the end of the day, this is nothing that not even the German government does lightly. And I remember when I first moved in Berlin, it was like you got invited to a visitation. It could have been the crappiest little rundown flat ever, but you came there. There were like 30 other people invited to the same appointment, and you were just expected to have your little folder with all your personal information already ready to go, and you can go in there. You can look around. If you have a specific question, you can also ask the real estate agent a question. But normally this is still like you don't really talk to them. It's in Berlin, flats are, what's the right term, a seller's market, not a buyer's market. So a seller's market, if I use the right term, is the one where there is too little product and too much request. So the seller can just be there, or in this case, a real estate agent can just stand in the flat and be like, yeah, look, ask if your questions on your way out, give me your folder, and bye. I will pick the one I will pick the winner at home by throwing darts at the board or whatever. It was a horrific situation. And the fact how I originally got my first two flats in Berlin, the tiny one, which you can see still in my older videos, and then the one in which I have been living for the last end of 2016. We are now in the beginning of 4 years, right? 17, 18, 19, 20. Yeah, 4 years. A little bit over 4 years. Both of those flats, at the end of the day, I didn't get through public channels, but because it got handed, but through more private channels. My first one I got through an eBay notification, and the current one I actually took over from a colleague. Now this time around, I didn't have a flat from a colleague to take over, but after living together in this flat for by now over a year, Denim and I really reached the point where we were like, just a tad more space is needed. Just we started to use our kitchen a lot, so just a little bit bigger of a kitchen. It's just at the point where we can live here comfortably, but it's just a little like feeling of it's a little bit too cramped. And for that purpose, we had to eventually go into the flat hunt, into the flat market. My first idea was to actually hire a real estate agent and be like, go fetch, here's my list of requirements. But I couldn't really find one. And after talking to some colleagues who are also living here in Berlin, most of them actually are. Great statement. So they were like, I mean, why would they? Why would any real estate agent offer this kind of private service to an individual individual searcher? There is no need for it. They make better buck by just having contracts directly with the owners and with the building managers and whatnot, and just putting it out and, well, having this kind of like seller's market where they just need to stand there, collect folders, and then select the best candidate. So I know this is a bad thing to say, but Rona might actually have been beneficial for us in that regard, because mass visitations are currently not possible. And therefore, you get a lot less invitations to visit or inspect flats. But on the other hand, the ones that you get invited, you're probably already in the inner selection. So it was less time intense. So we had so far only 2 visitations out of probably a dozen of flats where I sent requests like, "Hey, we're interested." And the first one was very nice. So we came there. It looked nice, bright yellow building on the pictures that were on the page in the internet. But then we came there and we're like, the thing, and it's more inner city. So it's more inner city. So we already in the surrounding area. We inspected before getting there for the appointment. We're like, it's a little bit more on the dirty-ish end, but it's still fine. It's in the city. It cannot always be super duper clean like the area we're currently living in. And then the building, or not just the building, the flat or business right next to the potential new flat had bars at the windows, which is also like, I like this neighborhood. This is promising. Then ground level. So in this neighborhood, flat on the ground level, right outside the window, a car repair shop. And we were still like, okay, we are nerds. We are mostly stuck inside. We both have done our martial arts training. We are not easily scared. But then we came inside and we are like, the room, the half of the flat was wasted on one long hallway. And the living room in the new flat in this potential flat was actually smaller than our current one, and this is one of the criteria why we want to move out, to have a bigger living room. So that was like, okay, we came out there and we were like, okay, this was a great first flat to inspect, because it was shit. I mean, or at least it was absolutely not what we needed, what we wanted, and we don't need to move out. That's the thing. Keep in mind, guys, we have a great flat. We just want one that's even greater, literally and figuratively. And so we were like, okay, that's great. This is a great first flat to get back into the groove of hunting flats, because without any second thought, we could be like, no, we are not taking this one. But it gave us a good feeling. So the very next day, we already had the next inspection in a different flat. Very, very much like in a very clean environment, like surroundings, neighborhood is probably the proper word. Also on the ground level, but in a neighborhood where you don't feel threatened, or not threatened, but where it's like, yeah, it's a neighborhood where I feel completely okay. We're going to the ground level. I mean, for privacy purposes, you still want to probably put some good curtains on the windows, because anybody walking down the street can be like, what's going on there? But beyond that, a nice bigger kitchen, a living room significantly bigger, and overall, like, good feeling, and real estate, bless you. And the real estate agent was also like at the end of it, like, well, are you interested? So he invited a whole of 2 couples or groups of people in there to inspect. So, and but only a 10-minute appointment, so it was still like that's probably the downside of Rona. You don't really get a lot of time. You have a very tight time slot because people can only get one-on-one or maybe 2-on-1 appointments. So we were like, okay, can we quickly measure out the room? Well, you better. Oh, measuring? Ooh, there's not a lot of time for measuring. Like, how much time do we have? Well, now it's still like 8 minutes left. Like, okay, quick, inspect every room. Check this out. Okay, maybe take the vague measurements of the big room, whatever. And so was a little bit like you still felt that you're looking at a flat in Berlin. And but when we were out there, we were like, okay, was good. We got the paper to send back to him to be like, if we are interested to officially apply for not just an inspection but rent as well. And we actually got a note a few days later, like, if we are still interested, and well, if we would be, then they would send us the paperwork, and we could have the flat. I mean, second flat we inspected. This is not normal to get a flat this quickly in Berlin. I'm pretty sure, especially not if you go through the official channels. But yeah, I have the contract right next to me, just waiting for a signature. And as things are standing right now, I am going to sign it. I'm going to send it back, and unless something unforeseen happens, that the building manager is like, we changed our mind over the weekend, then I guess we have a new flat, and we will have to get into moving mindset sooner rather than later, because I know, right? Because officially the new flat, we would have the new flat on starting the 15th of March, but I'm still stuck with my old flat for a while because there are like the time span when you cancel the contract, you still have to stick with it for a few more months, so that both sides have a fair amount of time to handle their stuff. And so we are not in an imminent rush, but at the end of the day, then stuff has to move quickly. I already started talking to a friend who has connections to a moving company. And as soon as that stuff is all through, I will have to cancel my current flat. I will have to start packing stuff. And we'll see how this also relates to being able to put anything out there. But I will keep you as posted as I can. And well, looking forward to where stuff is going from here. Until next time, bye.